Well, I wouldn't say that it won't improve your squat. It just isn't as direct one to one. So if you do a quad dominant squat, you're gonna get your quads stronger faster than doing a regular squat. So if the weak part in your squat is your quads,
Mm.
doing a phase of quad dominant squat and then going back to your squat after you kind of regain the movement pattern after 2 to 3 weeks, you'll have a big jump in your squat, right? So just remember, like, the squat is still just you using muscles. So if all we do is we specialize the exercise to strengthen the muscles individually a little bit better, then all I have to do is put that back together in the motor pattern by going back to the squat. And it only takes a small time to then all of a sudden get all those things coordinating to work together. And then your squat does go up. So you don't have to sacrifice the improvement in your squat to do it that way. And in fact, a lot of times people that are plateaued, that's the way to do it, is to stop doing just like their regular squat
Mm.
and to actually switch to more specialized motions. There's tons of orthopedic reasons and fatigue reasons to do that, right? Not just hypertrophy reasons, but there's tons of like, hey, doing the same movement pattern over and over again, and maybe the way that you're built, your squat's a little hard on your hips or your knee or your back or your shoulders and your elbows because of the way the bar is positioned, whatever it is. Doing like periodizing in exercises that strengthen the muscles up that you use in the squat, but don't necessarily have the same cons, or don't beat you up quite like the squat, is a great way to actually pick up your squat more over time, because you'll be injured less and you'll be fatigued less.
So I mean, it kind of goes against, I guess, how a lot of people can feel. So you think that if you've always squatted one way, it generally is like you're like, hey man, I can just hit the best numbers this way. It feels good. You shouldn't just continue to do the technique decade after decade. There has to be periods where you mix up your technique.
you so I think people, they look at their training sessions too much like competition, right? Meaning they're always focused on like, what am I hitting in my workout? When in reality, it's like in any other sport, like, when you practice to gain a skill, and then you compete in the game or the match, the meet,
Mm.
whatever it is, right? The same thing for powerlifting, right? But when it comes to fitness, I think people get so obsessed about knowing where they are all the time that they're afraid to take that time away from the specific thing, right? When in reality, that might be the thing that gives them the most benefit over time. But if they're looking at it like, well, in 2 weeks, I want to be squatting more than I am right now, well, then probably the better thing to do is to just do specifically the squat, because
Mm.
you need to be specific that close away from your goal of 2 weeks. But if your goal is like, I want to be squatting as much as possible in 3 months or 6 months from now, then you may have the opportunity to actually improve faster by specializing a little bit more and then just integrating the squat closer to the time that you would be measuring it. But if you're in the mindset that like every workout you're constantly analyzing, like, well, how am I and what
Mm.
am I doing, then you're going to be stuck in that loop of always wanting to stay and doing the same thing, because anytime you go away from something task specific, there's a chance that when you return to it, there will be an immediate like reduction in
Yeah.
performance. But that performance will come back really fast, because it's just a coordination thing, right? It's like if you stop throwing a ball or whatever, like, and you go back in, you're not going to be the most accurate pitcher or whatever it may be. Or you guys got rugby over there, I don't know that
Yeah.
there's like, like the guy that punts the ball or whatever, right? If he doesn't punt the ball for 6 months, he's not going to be as accurate at punting the ball. But it's not like he's going to completely lose that. If his legs got a lot stronger, if he takes a couple weeks to hone his skill, and he'll probably be punting the ball further than what he was before.